are you considering or still looking to improve at Commander? Or maybe you're just new getting into Commander. Maybe you've come from other formats, or maybe you're just new to Magic the Gathering. Well, welcome here to MTG Tuesdays, tips and tricks as we talk about ways to help you with Magic the Gathering. And specifically, we are continuing our series on how to play Commander. This, I believe, is number 9 in the series of how to play Commander. We've talked about different things. Everything from building your deck to getting it better. Today, I want to talk about something that's pretty important with your deck and as you build different decks, and that is tracking your cards and decks. So, as you play Commander, as you play Magic, you're going to have more and more decks and cards, and you're going to want to track them. Some people are very particular and want to track every single card they own. Others are more like myself, that I have so many cards that if you ask me what cards I had, I know the majority of the big cards that I have, but outside of that, I'm like, I have no clue. I just don't have a bunch of different cards, and I'm working on doing better at that. But let me just be honest with you, the best way to at least track your decks, keep track of your decks, in my personal opinion, is Moxfield. So I personally use when I build a deck, I typically put it all the way through and type it in through Moxfield. There are ways, there are apps you can scan stuff like that as well, but Moxfield is great because I can have track of all my things. I can even test my deck on there. So if you can put your deck in, then you can kind of goldfish it. You can kind of like run your hands and stuff like that and see how it goes and work with it and learn how it goes and stuff like that. And so it is a lot of fun to use that. Moxfield is great. I really do like Moxfield. I would highly recommend using Moxfield to your advantage to help you build your deck, track your decks, especially as you start building more and more decks. You're going to want to track them. Sometimes, like myself, you get behind and you forget, and then you don't update decks, and you got to go through and update them. That's probably the hardest part, is updating it. It's easier to put a new deck in than update it. It's really simple. You type in the cards that you've got, you type in what you want, and then you go from it. You know, you got them in there, you get your decks tracked, and then like, there are ways, like you're playing on Spell Table, I think there's a way to connect it where people can actually see the deck list. But you also can look at your deck list as well to kind of remind you what's in the deck. If you're looking for certain cards, you can be like, I think I have that card. Do I have that card in this deck? If you're building a secondary deck and want to transfer it over, or trying to find the cards you own and stuff like that. So overall, there's a lot you can do with Moxfield on top of letting other people see your decks. And if you want to check out ours, then you can definitely go to the link tree for our link, Moxfield. I have updated in a minute. I'm planning on this next couple weeks start updating as I go through my decks to update them and things like that along those ways. Any decks that I ever build, I don't delete. I just leave them there. Some of the decks have been removed, or I'm not playing them anymore, and so I just keep them in there. So if people in the future ever want to play them, or I want to go back and rebuild them, I have that opportunity. Moxfield's great. Dragon Shield has their own like scanning app that's like this MTG Dragon Shield, I believe. And then I think there's like Mana Vault or Mana Box. Mana Box, that's what it is, Mana Box. That people have said, I haven't used Mana Box yet myself, but I say if you want to scan your cards, it works really well, especially if you want one of those like individual little scanner things that show up on TikTok all the time. So there are different ways to keep track of your cards. It depends on you how much you want to keep track of. I'm trying to do better this year. This is one of my things this next year, is to do better at tracking at least the more expensive cards that I have in my collection. It is hard, especially when you trade and buy and sell cards as much as I do and move them around. But my goal this year is to get all of my decks that I have built put into a system to put into Moxfield so that you guys can have them. We're going to be building a ton of new decks this next year. So every single deck I build, as I build it, I will be putting it into Moxfield, so that way we don't lose track of them, and then you guys can have access to it. I can share those with you as we build them, as we do deck techs and stuff along those lines. So you'll have access to seeing those. And so that is kind of the best way to track. There are probably other services out there. There are so many different people out there that have different types of services. I highly recommend, though, for tracking your decks and stuff like that, specifically your decks, not necessarily your collection, but your decks, Moxfield. And then outside of that, maybe the Dragon Shield, Mana Box, whichever ones you find that you want to track your more collection to keep track of your value and stuff. You can do that on Moxfield, but they don't necessarily have like an app on your phone where you can just scan cards in, and sometimes it is easier to scan. You have to type those in and stuff like that, or import the list and stuff. But overall, I highly recommend Moxfield. Recommend getting it. Feel free to check out our deck list. We'll be updating all those this next, probably the next couple weeks. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let us know in the comments below. Maybe we missed something. Maybe you know of a tracker that you've personally used. We always are up to learning new things, and we'd love to help other people find other trackers as well. Thank you guys so much for being here, as always. We'll see you next time.